The next big bad of One Punch Man has been revealed in chapter 195, and considering the information that we got in this chapter, there is absolutely no doubt that this next opponent is going to be one of the strongest we've ever seen in the series. This chapter actually ended up being a lot shorter than I had anticipated when, the usual chapter for One Punch Man is like, 30 to 40 pages right around now, but this chapter was actually only around 13 pages, but although it was very short, the information packed into this chapter is super valuable, and I think One and Murata did a very good job of giving us some super juicy info in this one, even though it is a little shorter than we would expect. If you guys remember, in chapter 194, Saitama had found Manako in like 3 panels, quite literally, and the reason he was even looking for her in the first place is because Flashy Flash asked for Saitama's help in order to find Manako and hopefully get some more information on God. She of course didn't really know anything, so the next step was for them to go visit Sitch and try to plan a meeting with Blast. Flashy Flash had assumed since Blast can literally travel in between dimensions that he'd be a pretty hard guy to find, but the reality is that they reached him immediately because he was right there with Sitch right when they got there. Well, we do get a pretty exciting conversation at the end of the chapter. We actually start off somewhere else. We actually pick this chapter up with Sonic, and it seems like he's hiding in his little like abandoned building hideout that he uses whenever he gets defeated by Saitama, and this time is no different. He has a bag of ice on his head after getting a fat old boop on the head from Saitama, but suddenly he gets ambushed by Hellfire Flame and Gale Wind. The twist here is that Hellfire Flame and Gale Wind aren't actually the ones that were looking for Sonic that he should be worried about, because Hellfire Flame and Gale Wind were actually followed by another group of ninjas. This ninja group is apparently called the Heavenly Ninja Party, and when they all appear, they pretty much give each one of themselves an introduction panel with their name, and they have some like just super silly ninja names like Darkness Dark and Colorful Rainbow or something like that. There's one called Shrieking Scream, and probably my favorite out of the bunch is called Ammunition Bullet. Pretty much one making fun of the whole ninja stick, where every ninja name out there, at least in the world of One Punch Man, have names that mean the same thing in 2 words. Like Speed of Sound Sonic, Flashy Flash, Hellfire Flame. It's just kind of pointless having that second word in there, but they just add it to sound cool. Well, this is when we start getting into the really exciting content of this chapter, because the leader of the Heavenly Ninja Party points out that he has finally awakened, and who he's referring to is the leader of the ninja village that actually had an epic battle with Blast 15 years ago and was damaged so bad during that battle that he had to go into a recovery capsule for 15 years. Also, this founder of the ninja village is apparently the strongest ninja in history. Now, I'm personally extremely excited that this is getting brought up in the manga finally, because this ninja leader is actually someone that was mentioned in the webcomic as well and is pretty much introduced in the same exact way. But the main difference with the manga is that we might actually know the backstory of this ninja leader. Like, we might have gotten a glimpse of it like 10 chapters ago. What I'm talking about here is the popular theory among One Punch Man fans that when Sitch was talking about Blast's first encounter with God 20 years ago, he mentions that he had a partner that was his close collaborator in investigating the God cubes. You would assume that he'd have to be super powerful if he's going to be Blast's partner, right? Well, there's a chance that he became even stronger off screen by accepting God's power. And the whole theory here, if this ends up being true, is that Blast's partner for some reason accepted God's power 20 years ago using one of the cubes. So once God handed over this power to this partner of his, he became corrupted somehow and had a one-on-one fight with Blast. This would actually be a very good explanation as to why Blast had the injuries that he did after this first encounter, because we see here from his face and from how his armor looks now that he seems to be slashed up pretty good. He even has a scar going across his face. I find it very unlikely that God would be the one to do this damage to him because he's freaking massive. He wouldn't just be leaving slashes and, I guess, human-sized marks. It seems like Blast received slashes from a sword, and if we go back to that panel with him and his partner, it is very clear that he has 2 blades on his back, which honestly supports this theory a lot more. So there's a chance that his partner received power from God and then took the cube that they were using for research and fled. This would also be implying that he is the actual leader of the ninja village, and once he escaped back to the ninja village, this is actually the cube that we saw in Flashy Flash's flashback in chapter 194. So that means that Blast would have gone to the ninja village to recover the cube and also fight his former partner, and the battle was so epic that the ninja leader had to go in a recovery capsule for 15 years. That's the running theory right now, nothing's confirmed, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is it believable or not? So the $1 million question now becomes, what is this ninja leader going to do now that it has awakened from its 15-year recovery? My bet is he's going to fight somebody like almost immediately. Probably our boy Saitama, because the fact of the matter is if this ninja leader had this epic battle with Blast in the past, that means that its abilities are pretty pretty comparable to Blast himself, even though he did get defeated. So really there's nobody else in the series that would be strong enough to face him other than Blast or Saitama. Well, getting back to the chapter, it seems that this Heavenly Ninja group wants to recruit Sonic in order to execute Flashy Flash and also execute Blast. Now the reason they want to execute Flashy Flash is because apparently before Flashy Flash fled from the Ninja Village, he had completely taken out everybody from his graduating class. At least everybody except for Sonic, because they also said that he's from the same class as well. Well, after this conversation between them and Sonic, we finally cut back to Blast, Saitama, and Flashy Flash. At some point, Sitch questions why Saitama and Manako are there, and Flashy Flash was like, they were with me when I first saw God, so I kind of brought them with. They're just tagging along, not having a care in the world. And right off the bat, we actually get a clear explanation as to why Blast is there to begin with. Apparently they're running these tests on people that consumed monster cells and had become monsters, and are currently trying to find a way to revert them back to humans. It seems like they're doing some kind of like shock therapy or something, and it obviously seems like it's not really working very well. Probably remember the monsters that are being shocked here as the members of the Super Fight tournament that were forced to eat monster cells by Goketsu. One of them, looking like this teddy bear monster that I think is the one that fought Sourface actually, seems to actually be showing some positive results from this like shock therapy or whatever, because he actually talks to the scientist and says that he wants to keep going with this shock therapy because he wants to go back to his dojo or something. He points out that he's being left behind by his peers. And it's interesting that this is getting brought up because we have to remember that when someone becomes a monster, their potential is completely capped at that point. They can't grow any stronger. Well, in another major development in this chapter, we actually find out where Manako is from. And it might not seem like something you would initially care about, but once you see exactly where Manako comes from, things become very interesting. Apparently when Psychos was developing Giro Giro in one of her test tubes or incubation chambers, Manako had broken off of her body at some point, and is pretty much like a cell bud of Giro Giro. Now I feel like One and Murata injected this into the manga for a specific reason, and it might start clearing up exactly why Manako is playing a role in the manga all of a sudden when she had nothing to do with the webcomic. She did not exist in the webcomic at all. So it makes me feel pretty confident that Manako is going to play a bigger role in the manga going forward than we originally thought. So we end the monster conversation with Blast pretty much saying that to gain back your humanity, the key is mentality. Essentially saying that you have to want to become a human again. Like you have to really, really want it. Essentially the exact reverse of what someone does to become a monster, where this burst of negative emotions causes some kind of mutation to cause a monster transformation. I guess this is kind of alluding to the fact that the process can be reversed and have a different effect. Well, Flashy Flash did not come to mess around because he tells Blast that he's done beating around the bush and wants to ask him a question directly. A super big question actually. He wants to know Blast's relationship with his ninja village and the ninja leader. So not only are we potentially going to be getting our theory confirmed here of Blast's former partner actually being the ninja leader but monsterfied, we are certain to get some more god lore here, some valuable world building for the world of One Punch Man. And again, rounding back to the fact that this chapter was super short. Murata has actually put out super short chapters like this in the past, and then a week later released an addition to it to make it a full 30 to 40 page chapter. So there's a good possibility that that might happen again here. But if that ends up not being a case, we're just gonna have to wait 2 weeks to get this valuable world building and information from Blast. But hey, I've been waiting for season 3 of One Punch Man for like 5 years now, along with all you guys, so we're pretty used to waiting for stuff, right? Let me know what you thought about this chapter in the comments below though. Have an absolutely wonderful night, morning, afternoon, whatever, and I'll see you guys in the next video.